We finally received the expansion where we go head to head with the Burning Legion in World of Warcraft, but with that having said, who will the end boss of the expansion be? In this video, I will go over a list of characters that a lot of people think could possibly be the end boss, and I will explain why I think they will or they will not be the end boss of Legion. So with that having said, let's go ahead and get into number 1 with Illidan. A lot of people question what side Illidan is on since we fought him in the Burning Crusade only to have him come back now as sort of a gray character. People don't know if he's with us or with the Legion, and I can tell you right now that I absolutely 100% believe that Illidan will in no way be the end boss. First, it's just too similar to the outcome of BC if he became the end boss in Legion, and two, if you read the Illidan novel, you'd know that Illidan pretty much hates the Legion and lives with the sole purpose to completely dismantle it. He sundered the Nathrazim homeworld, planned to invade Argus, but before he could do that, we pretty much just barged into the Black Temple and killed him. So the only way I think that he could be on the Legion side is if he was corrupted by Gul'dan, Kil'Jaeden, or by some other means, but I do believe that in the end he will be purified or something, ally with us and have a redemption story, as Chris Metzen said last year in BlizzCon. So the next two are the Avatar of Sargeras and Kil'Jaeden. Kil'Jaeden and the Avatar of Sargeras are two perfectly qualified candidates to become the end boss of Legion, but the thing is that they most likely will not be. The reason why is because in BlizzCon of this year, the Tomb of Sargeras raid was announced and both of these characters are bosses in the raid. Now before they announced this, I believe that Kil'Jaeden could possibly be an end boss of Legion mainly because he is the highest ranking commander aside from Archimon, who we fought already in WoD, and Sargeras, but I also had my doubts. I think it's just too bland to have us fight Archimon back in WoD and Kil'Jaeden as an end boss in Legion. We need something more impactful, something more exciting than fighting two Eredar Lords in back-to-back expansions. So that's why I believe that the Avatar of Sargeras could be the end boss. However, since we will be fighting both of them in the Tomb of Sargeras raid, this means that when the expansion ends, it is highly unlikely, very highly unlikely that we will fight them again as the last boss of the final raid. It would just be too much repetition. Other people, however, bring up the possibility that Azshara or N'Zoth could be the end boss, and to this again, I don't think that this will happen. I think Azshara and N'Zoth will carry over to a later expansion, one that will involve the Old Gods and possibly the Void Lords. The reason why I believe that this is the case is because after we raid the Tomb of Sargeras in 7.2, we will then be traveling to Argus to deal with the Legion, or at the very minimum deal them a crippling blow. This automatically means that N'Zoth can't be the end boss. If the final content patch is indeed us going to Argus and us staying there to experience the content tied in with the patch, this means that an old god from Azeroth cannot be the end boss of Legion because N'Zoth will be on Azeroth and we will be light years away. Also, if this is the case, I don't believe Azshara would be the end boss of Legion. I just think that while we are off trying to finally get rid of that thorn that has been wedged in between our ass cheeks for the longest time, that thorn being the Burning Legion, I strongly think that, Azshara and N'Zoth, maybe the other old gods as well, will be building up their strength to possibly start up a war, which will tie us into the following expansion, or maybe an expansion at a later date.
No doubt Xavius and his ancient master delight that so much of our attention goes into fighting the Legion. Their insidious shadow seeps into our world, distracting us with whispers and doubts. Pray that purging the nightmare's corruption buys us enough time to defeat the Legion and catch our breath before the black armies rise up from the depths.
Finally, we have the person on the list that I believe will be the end boss of this expansion, Ragnaros. Because Firelands, to be honest, was only a setback. Just kidding. Who I think will be the end boss of Legion is actually Jaina Proudmoore. Jaina pretty much vanished after the events of the Broken Isles, with all Blizzard having said regarding this was that she's gone and she is pretty pissed off. Where would she go in a time like this? Who would she go to? And what could she be doing as the world is thrown into a global war against the Legion? she is most likely throwing in with them. Now, to add up with this, there are some theories such as Jaina is a Dreadlord. She died, her corpse had been possessed, and she is now a Nathrazim in disguise, but I don't think that this is going to be the case. And it's not that I'm a narrow-sided piece of garbage. Like, back in Mists of Pandaria, people thought that the Garrosh, which was acting up and starting to become crazy, was not actually Garrosh. They believed that Garrosh died or had been kidnapped in the Cataclysm by the Twilight Hammer, and that the Garrosh in Mists of Pandaria was actually a Twilight Hammer cultist in disguise, trying to stir things on between the Horde and the Alliance. I thought that this was pretty interesting, but I don't think that the Dreadlord theory could be applied to Jaina, because it would just be, I mean, honestly, it would not make sense. Dreadlords use their corpse possession ability to tear apart their foes from within, which would work in the Garrosh case. However, this hasn't been working for Jaina. Of course, in a couple times in the past, she has told Varian to, fight the Horde, and she had told Anduin to fight the Horde at the beginning, in addition to fighting the Legion, ultimately starting a war in two fronts. She did not succeed, so this means that either the Dreadlord is really bad at his job, or she is honestly just not a Dreadlord. If at the final raid we fight Jaina and she turns out to be a Nathrazim and this is revealed to us, honestly, what would it achieve? Nothing but 5 seconds of a mindfuck. Now, I think that this Jaina is the real Jaina, and she is siding with the Legion because she has had enough of literally everything. No matter how morally good you are, when everything is taken away from you, your family, your loved ones, your home, and your friends, you start to take a toll, and you start to become molded by these events. You start to let hatred take hold of you until you side with a force so evil just to take revenge against a faction that has stripped away that which you loved most. It would honestly be amazing character development. Whereas we constantly see the redemption story, we now see a chance of seeing a hero fall and not getting redeemed whatsoever. Plus, in addition to this, who left would there be to qualify as an end boss? With Kil'Jaeden and the Avatar having been fought in the Tomb of Sargeras, I doubt we will fight either again a second time in the same expansion. Archimonde we already fought in the last expansion, and there is no way in hell we even have a chance of even being in Sargeras' presence without getting completely obliterated. The only real character that could pose a realistic threat that we could stand against at that point would be Jaina. She's already incredibly powerful. If she joins the Legion, her power will be quadrupled, multiplied by 10 to the power of 69, and she will be absolutely crazy powerful. And she will definitely give us the fight of our lives. Anyways, guys, that's who I think the end boss of Legion will be. Again, it's pretty early into the expansion, so this is my best educated guess that I could come up with. If you agree, disagree, or think it might be anyone else that could be the end boss like Lord Walker Cho, please post it down below. And until next time, guys, I'll see you later.